Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Snug Wrestling Podcast. It's time to go over this week's NXT. They were back in the Performance Center after they had their little trip over in Houston, Texas last week. They went back to Florida, and it sounds like they're gonna head out of the Performance Center once again. I believe, right? What are they doing? They're doing New York next week.
And then next Saturday at Stand and Deliver, it will be in St. Louis.
And as you guys know, that is Tommy's lovely voice. Tommy, welcome. How you doing today, bro?
I am doing good. Spent the entire day with my girlfriend. Weather over here is being as inconsistent as possible. Yesterday it was in the 50s. Now it's in the high of the 70s. So Illinois is just being extremely inconsistent.
Yeah, and over here in Cali, it's getting pretty hot, man. It's spring weather. It's kicking in. The kids are about to go on spring break in the next week, I believe. So yeah, can't complain, man. Things are clearing up over here, which is nice. It's not too hot, but it's not too cold either. It's just like just right, you know. Sorry, bro. Humble brag, but I had to. One of the things that they kept mentioning on this episode of NXT this week, Tommy, was Madison Square Garden. Is NXT going to be in Madison Square Garden or like some hall next to Madison Square Garden?
They will be in MSG next week.
NXT
Yes.
in MSG. I don't even see them selling out or selling that many tickets, Tommy. I don't think they're going to be in Madison Square Garden, are they?
That's what they keep saying is next week in New York at Madison Square Garden.
I'm going to look it up. WWE NXT next week location in New York. Because, yeah, I kept hearing that, and I'm like, NXT is going to be in, like, MSG. Brings its action to the the Emphasis Theater at Madison Square Garden. So it's a theater inside of MSG. Okay, so technically it is MSG. It's still in the MSG, but it's not like in the actual arena. It's a theater inside the arena, which okay, for NXT makes it makes more sense. So I'm like, how the fuck is NXT gonna sell out MSG? That's crazy, but okay. All right, that makes more sense. Um yeah, and then they're gonna be in St. Louis for their next PLE, which is Stand and Deliver, right?
Yes, Stand and Deliver in Sexy Red's hometown of St. Louis. So she will be there.
Right, yeah, we saw Sexy Red make a cameo on this episode of NXT as well. Um yeah, man, and a couple of matches were set up for the next PLE, which we'll talk about that. One of them was Zaria and Sol Ruca, which I think it was fitting. Really looking forward to that one. But let's get into the drama and the details of NXT, Tommy. They started off with a bunch of backstage segments because it's NXT and they have to make a point that this is NXT and there's chaos and there's shit going on all over the place. You know, people are trying to talk to Stones. People are getting jumped. The tag team of Eli Knight and the French luchador mask guy, Elio LeFleur, were getting beat up. Like in the first like 2-3 minutes of this episode, shit was already going crazy off the walls, right? Our good friend, who's that? What's his name again? The big old tall dude who we always forget his fucking name, who was trying to talk to Stone, but he couldn't because he was too busy.
I think that's Josh Briggs.
Josh Briggs, yes. Josh Briggs was even there trying to get some attention, but no luck because Stone's hands were full with everything that was going on. that was the opening of NXT because, it's craziness on Tuesdays. But the opening match was a women's tag team match, and it was Kendal Gray with her partner. Remind me her name, Tommy, because I always forget her name.
Wren Sinclair.
And they have a tag team name too, which is
the Wren QCC.
Wren QCC, that's right. Where they wrestled. Who the fuck did they wrestle? This was yesterday, so I already forgot. Oh yeah,
it was two members from Fatal Influence.
The Fatal Influence girls. That's right. That's right. Yeah. NXT decided to kick off their show with this tag team match. Of all the matches that we saw on this episode of NXT, do you think this was the best way to kick off NXT, to set the tone for the show, to be like, all right, let's get this crowd going with this one? Because, this was kind of not the greatest start for me, if I'm being honest, Tommy. But how did you feel about this?
Yes, because of what happened after. Plain and simple. The match happens. The Wren QCC wins via tap out. And then all of a sudden, why in the world am I forgetting her name? Not Wren Sinclair, Kendal Gray.
Yeah.
She starts talking, saying, hey, we have a new speed champion. I have beaten one of you. I've tapped out the other. JC Jane, I'm coming for you at Stand and Deliver. And then Lola Vice comes out and she goes, no. That's not how this is going to work. I am going to take that title off of JC Jane. So we have a match for next week. It will be Lola Vice versus Kendal Gray. Whoever wins that goes to Stand and Deliver for the NXT Women's title against JC Jane.
Yes.
And I think because of how that's setting up, I think this match was a good start.
Yeah, and the match did pick up for me as soon as Kendal Gray got tagged in, because she's the star out of all of this. She's the one that they're trying to push here in this situation. I mean, the girls from Fatal Influence, like, they're good athletes. They have size. They work pretty good in the ring, but they're just JC Jane's faction members. Like, they haven't really given us a reason for us to really care for them.
They're just sidekicks at this point.
Right. So it's like, why should we care when these two are wrestling? Like, it's kind of hard to care. And the same thing with Wren Sinclair. I mean, she's had a few matches recently. She won the speed title. Okay. Big deal, right? It's Kendal Gray here, the one that really stands out, right? So she gets tagged in. That's when the match started picking up. And of course, the big announcement for next week is going to be Lola Vice versus Kendal Gray, #1 contenders match, which should be a good match. How do you think that one's going to play out, Tommy? Do you see Lola Vice or Kendal Gray facing JC Jane at Stand and Deliver? What would you like to see?
I want Lola. I really do. She just deserves a title at this point. Wren Sinclair and Kendal Gray both have plenty of time to get a title in NXT. They really do. But I feel like it's Lola Vice's shot and her time to get that women's NXT title and maybe get pulled up to the main roster soon. Especially with the fact that her boyfriend, Damian Priest, is on the main roster. And WWE has a history of not splitting up their couples. So I say give her the shot with the NXT Women's title.
Yeah, and I feel like there's been a few stars, a few people from NXT that have been called up to the main roster without actually winning the NXT championship. Javon Evans is the first name that pops to mind when it comes to that. So yeah, I mean Lola Vice right now is like one half of the mix champions over in AAA, so she has a title. It's just not the NXT title. But we'll see what happens next week with good old Lola Vice and Kettle Gray. I think that should be a good match, even though they're two baby faces. But hey, we'll see. We'll see how the match goes. All right, up next we had the very entertaining face-off between Sol Ruca and Zaria. Sol Ruca comes out first to make her to tell her side of the story, her point of view of this whole drama, this feud that's been going on with these two women. And right off the bat, maybe I'm biased because I'm not as big as a Sol Ruca fan like you or Blood Art Tommy. But right off the bat, she comes off to me like a straight fucking bitch, dog. Like just the things that she was saying. Sol Ruca was like, "Oh, I did this for you. I made sure that you got these opportunities. Every time they called me up to the main roster, I always made sure to bring Zaria along with me. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have done this." And I'm just like, God damn, this is supposed to be a baby face. I is how Sol Ruca was sounding to me, right? And even though Sol Ruca does have some points, they had a tag team match in the main event. Sol Ruca was taking credit for that. Okay, fine. Yes, true. Maybe Zaria wouldn't have gotten that position if it wasn't for Sol Ruca. It makes sense, but the way that she was saying it just sounded so bitchy to me. And then Zaria comes out. And then Zaria starts telling her side of the story where she's like, no, 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 you're not going to do that. You're not going to take the credit for it. You're not going to pretend like you're doing me a favor. Like you haven't done none of those things. You haven't given me anything. So Zaria kind of feels like Sol Ruca's gaslighting her. And the way that Zaria cut her promo, this is what I noticed, Tommy. Now you tell me what you saw. The fans started getting behind Zaria. The fans actually started booing Sol Ruca. And it seemed like they were agreeing more with what Zaria was saying over Sol Ruca, who technically Sol Ruca is the babyface in this situation. Zaria was the one that turned on Sol Ruca. So, I mean, I'm Team Zaria all the way, bro, if I'm being honest. But what did you think about this?
I think at this point, tell me when Zaria is telling lies. Stop me when she's telling lies. Because overall, throughout this entire promo, you would not be able to stop me whatsoever. Yes, Sol does have some points with that, but the majority of what was said truly comes from Zaria and her side of things. Because overall, she's right completely with everything she said. She's nonstop right. There's not a single spot where she was telling lies because it's true. She has, in fact, been stuck in Sol Ruca's shadow. Don't get me wrong. I love Sol Ruca. I really do. I have put that to the ends of the earth. I have put this girl over cloud 9. But Zaria is right. She's been stuck in Sol Ruca's shadow this entire time.
Yeah, man. And then the match was set. Well, actually the challenge was made. I'm not sure if it's actually been made official. But yeah, Sol Ruca was basically like, "All right, you want a match, right? Well, let's do it at Stand and Deliver." Um but I don't think Zarya actually accepted, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get it, right?
At this point, yeah, it's got to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Will we be doing predictions for that, Tommy? I'm assuming so, right?
Yeah, we'll be doing predictions for that next week.
All right. All right. Should we talk about the backstage segment with good old Ricky Saints and Ethan Page and Joe Hendry? I think we should because these are three of the top guys on NXT. Ricky Saints and Ethan Page are so entertaining when they're together. They have such good chemistry. I think I said this last week, but I'm going to say it again. I really enjoy their banter. Ricky Saints and Ethan Page are so entertaining. Basically, they were going over their match from last week where was last week the tag team match that they had where Ethan Page pinned Joe Hendry? Was that last week?
No, it wasn't last week. I believe it was 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So they were going over some match from last week. Yeah, Ricky Saints and Ethan Page. And they got like into a little like lighthearted argument.
Oh, they weren't going over the match. They were going over the aftermath from that promo from like.
Okay. Oh, that was when they got beat up by Joe Hendry. The both of them. They both try to jump Joe Hendry, and then Joe Hendry ends up taking them both out, right?
Come on.
Uh-oh. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties.
Yes, if you can hear me this time.
You're kind of freezing up. Why don't you back out and then come back in, Tommy? Sorry about that, y'all. But we are live, so we got to keep this thing going until Tommy comes back. Unfortunately. So yeah, I see there's a couple people on IG. If you guys got some questions or comments in the meantime while we wait for Tommy to come back to get his shit together. All right.
How am I now?
You're good now.
All right.
So they were going over that segment from last week. And then yeah, they started getting into like a little argument. And then basically Ricky Saints just told Ethan Page, "You got something to get off your chest? You got something to tell me?" And Ethan Page flat out told Ricky Saints in this backstage segment, "Yeah, I want the NXT championship. I don't want the North American championship. I want the NXT championship. I pinned Joe Hendry. I should get a title shot." So now it's been Ricky Saints he's been known, he's been informed that Ethan Page is in fact going after that same title that Ricky Saints wants. Joe Hendry walks in the picture. Joe Hendry's pissed off. "I don't care if it's you, Ethan, or you, Ricky Saints. All I know is that I want Tony D'Angelo." And so now we got all three of these guys, all mixed in together. This is important to note. This is going to lead to the final segment later on the show, but What did you think about this, Tommy, seeing Ethan Page finally telling Ricky Saints how he really feels?
I mean, it works. It really does. But I found it very funny how this segment ended because it cut out right after Ricky Saints said the words, "As long as I've got my friend by my side." That is when it suddenly cut back to inside the performance center itself instead of backstage. I'm like, what in the world is that ending? I found that absolutely hilarious. But in regards to Ethan Page and all of that, it feels good to finally have him say, hey, this is the title I'm going after. I want to be two-time champion, not North American champion like he did last week, but to completely solidify it that he wants to be two-time NXT champion, which, as I said last week, he has not been NXT champion since this sucker was Rainbow. So it's been a hot minute since the last time he was NXT champion, in which I wouldn't mind another reign from him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, up next we had a singles match: Kelani Jordan, excuse me, versus Thea Hale, where Kelani Jordan pinned Thea Hale clean. 1, 2, 3. Was this match like? Was this something for the speed thing, or was this just like a regular one-on-one, Tommy?
No, this was just a random one-on-one because they had problems last week.
Any thoughts on the match?
I completely forgot this match happened. I
All
really
right.
did. It slipped my mind that this happened. I even completely forgot that it was happening in the first place before it even happened.
Fair enough. I think you know what this was though. Now that I think about it, I think this has to do with the the women's North American title picture, doesn't it?
No, Thea was talking to Wren Sinclair last week before that title match, in which Wren left. Wait, yeah, it was Wren Sinclair. She left. All of a sudden, Kelani Jordan came up, started talking shit to Thea Hill, and then Jada Parker came up after that.
Okay.
And that was all last week, which set up this match for this week.
Got it. All right, so that happened. And then we had a gauntlet match, a big old fat gauntlet match that feels like lasted forever. Who do we have here? We had Dion Lennox. We had Shiloh Hill. We had
Charlie
Jax.
Dempsey.
Yeah, and what's the Evolve champion again? Jackson Drake.
For one, he was not the. Oh wait, yeah, he was. Never mind. But the former Evolve champion, Jackson Drake, he
Well, he's
lost
not
it last
champion.
week.
Did he
lost
really?
it. Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Because I could have sworn they said he was still champion last night.
No, they said on commentary that he lost it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. All right. And one final mystery opponent. Johnny Gargano showed back up on NXT because his wife is trying to find his fire again because he's just been sad Johnny, depressed Johnny, where they're trying to find the old Johnny wrestling again and blah blah blah. And Johnny comes out with his freaking mope face, like, oh, I don't want to be here. Oh, I'm so sad. Blah blah blah. And he goes out there and he's just laying down, planking on the ring, while all of these NXT guys are beating each other up, doing all the work, doing all the crazy stunts, doing everything. And while this dude is just laying there throughout the whole entire time, and Johnny Gargano fucking wins. He fucking wins this match. after doing absolutely nothing. And literally, Shiloh Hill got like 3 eliminations or something crazy like that. And he was all over the place, Shiloh Hill. And Johnny Gargano just shows up and he just steals the win. Like, he doesn't even do a proper pin. He just lays on top of the guy like planking how he's been planking.
After his girlfriend pushes him on Shiloh. His wife
And
did.
And the place fucking explodes. And I'm like, this is so fucking stupid and kind of borderline disrespectful. I was literally pissed off when I saw this because I'm like, Shiloh Hill literally worked his ass off for this match. And I get it. It's storytelling. It's funny. It's entertaining, blah, blah, blah. But I thought this was fucking stupid. But what did you
Boy,
think?
do I have the comparison for you and Nintendo fans. You will know exactly what I'm talking about here. Have you ever seen any of those Mario Party videos where it's Luigi winning by doing absolutely nothing? So it's legitimately that. So somebody would choose to play as Luigi, do absolutely nothing, and still win the game. And this is exactly how it felt with Johnny Gargano. Because he truly did win by doing absolutely nothing. He got kicked in the face once, planked on the apron the entire time, and then got pushed by his wife for the pin. That's it. He legitimately won by doing absolutely nothing.
And now he's the number 1 contender for the North American champion. Remind me his fucking name, Tommy.
Miles Bourne.
Thank you. So now Johnny Gargano is going to stand and deliver to face Miles Bourne, and I'm like, for what? For what? So Johnny can find himself again? Who fucking cares?
He can find himself all he wants, but I will gladly say this before we even do the predictions. Miles Bourne ain't losing that title.
And he better not, bro, or now I'm really going to be pissed off. But like, people like to complain about, these celebrities coming in and taking spots from other people that have been doing all the work and blah, blah, blah. Is this not the same thing Johnny Gargano just did? He shows up in a match randomly as a surprise opponent. He does absolutely nothing while all these other guys are doing the damnest to put on a fucking crazy ass match.
And the entire crowd does nothing but chant his name as soon as he comes out.
It's just fucking ridiculous, dude. But I honestly would have much rather seen any one of these guys at Stand and Deliver versus Miles Bourne than Johnny fucking Gargano. Especially this way, the way that he fucking won. It's fucking ridiculous to me. This makes me not even want to watch Stand and Deliver, bro. If I'm being honest. Like, I would have much rather seen even the guy from Evolve, fucking, what's his name? Jackson Drake or whatever?
Yeah.
I would have much rather seen him than fucking, Jackson Drake versus Miles Bourne. Stand and Deliver. Even Dempsey. Shiloh Hill. Anybody else that was in this fucking... Dion Lennox. But no, we get Johnny fucking Gargano. Okay, bro.
Like, don't get me wrong. I love Johnny Gargano. I'm with Blood. I think Snug has absolutely disrespected Johnny Gargano on multiple occasions. But overall here, the way this happened was so ridiculous because everybody else was doing everything and he's over here planking on the apron the entire time and then falling for the pin. Literally falling after being pushed.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, next week, since NXT is going to be in New York, Mike Santana announced that he's going to be on NXT next week, the TNA World Champion. to help out the mud, which I thought that's pretty fucking cool. Mike Santana was just in my hometown this past Sunday for a meet and greet. I didn't get to go, but I knew some people that were there. They said they had a lot of good things to say about Mike Santana, so that's cool. And then you go from there, you go from that to hearing, oh shit, he's gonna be on NXT in a few days. Oh, that's pretty dope. So I thought it was dope that we heard this announcement, and I'm looking forward to seeing Mike Santana on NXT next week.
In a 6-man tag against Dark State, if I remember correctly.
I believe you're right, yeah.
So when he said that, specifically, when Out the Mud said, hey, we've got somebody from outside of WWE to help us out. And they're like, okay, I'm interested to see where in the world this goes. And then Mike Santana comes on my screen. I'm like, oh, shit. Hell yeah, let's start this shit off now. I am very hyped for this 6-man tag.
Yeah, for sure. And then we had a tag team match. It was part of the tournament, the tag team tournament, to determine the number 1 contenders, to see who gets to face the god of awful tag team of damn it, what are their names, bro?
The Vanity Project.
Yes, those fucking guys. And we had the Culling. There's a team that we don't get to see wrestle a whole lot. A really good tag team too, by the way. They were supposed to face the French luchador guy, LeFleur, and Eli Knight, but they were taken out backstage by somebody. And then they were gonna get the Culling was gonna get mystery surprise opponents, and it was Los Americanos. Did Los Americanos take out LeFleur and Eli Drake back there, do you think, or what's going on here, Tommy?
I think they did, specifically for this spot. But we had a conversation last week on this where I didn't want Los Americanos here. I really didn't. I cannot remember for the life of me what the tag team was from last week that was put aside. But it sure as hell was not Los Americanos. I can tell you that right now. So I did not want them here because I thought it would have been so much better to slip it one actually from NXT in there. But that did not end up happening. In fact, Los Americanos beat the Culling tonight or last night. So they're moving on to that final, unless this was the final. I completely forget. But still, they're getting closer to being against Vanity Project for the tag titles, and I do not want the tag titles on Los Americanos.
Well, they're over in NXT, Los Americanos. They're over in AAA. They're over in NXT, just not on the main roster, which I think is hilarious. But yeah, Los Americanos won clean. No cheating involved. Just straight wrestling. They defeated the Culling. What a great tag team Los Americanos they are, bro.
No. I would much rather see Fraxium go back to NXT just for this tournament.
No, God, no, bro. All right, then we had the main event match. Ricky Saints versus Tony D'Angelo, man. This was such a great main event, dude. I love Ricky Saints so much, man. His selling, the way that, Tony D'Angelo is a lot bigger than Ricky Saints, right? So every time Tony D'Angelo would pick up Ricky Saints, the facial expressions Ricky Saints would make were just fucking awesome. He would look in the camera and he would look terrified. He would yell at the screen like, "Help me, help me." Which I thought
we
was
were
great.
going to hear something like we've heard from Rhea Ripley in the past, where she got suplexed at one point, and all of a sudden you could hear over the camera's mic, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. So there's a lot of that, man. Yeah, the match was good, man. Ethan Page was ringside, you know, trying to cheer on his friend Ricky Saints and every now and then causing distractions here and there. But then finally, I believe Tony D'Angelo got Ethan Page when Ethan Page jumped up to the turnbuckle to cause a distraction. Tony D'Angelo hits Ethan Page. And that's when Ethan Page says, fuck it. And he runs in the ring. He starts beating up Tony D'Angelo. The match ends in a disqualification. I thought Ricky Saints would be upset about this at first, but Ricky Saints didn't seem too mad about the fact that Ethan Page jumped in because they started attacking Tony D'Angelo, which then that's when Joe Hendry came out. And he went after Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. And I thought, wait a minute, this is weird. Joe Hendry, the NXT champion, is coming out to save the guy that attacked him last week. That doesn't make sense. Tony D'Angelo beat you up last week, Joe. You're going to come out here and save him against the heels? But then as soon as Joe Hendry cleared the ring, then he attacked Tony D'Angelo, and I was like, okay, here we go. That makes a lot of sense. So that was the main event, which led to a major announcement at the end of the show, but I'll let you break that one, Tommy.
It will end up being, and this was announced right after, and I had a feeling this was going to happen the moment Joe Hendry came in. It is going to be Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, Tony D'Angelo, and Joe Hendry in a fatal four-way for the NXT Championship at Stand and Deliver. That is exactly what's going to happen. And I had a feeling that was going to happen. As soon as Ethan Page went in and put that DQ out, I'm like, okay, these three clearly are all over the place. So let's do that. Then Joe Hendry came out. I'm like, yeah, this is going to end up being a fatal four-way. But what I found interesting is there were a couple shots to ringside after the match of both Ethan Page along with Ricky Saints holding both sides of the title. On the right was Ricky, on the left was Ethan. Both of them had both hands on that NXT title. So,
yeah, doing a little like tug of war thing or whatever, right?
Yeah. So I am very, very interested to see how in the world this is going to go at Stand and Deliver.
I blame Toxic for this, bro. Didn't Toxic say last week, oh, I want to see a fatal four-way? And I'm like, no, God, please, no. No.
He absolutely called it. He absolutely called it.
This is exactly what I did not want. But you know what? After thinking about this a little bit more, this is going to be interesting because kind of what we talked about yesterday. This is a fatal four-way. Ricky Saints and Ethan Page are friends. This is it's going to start off as a tag team match a little bit where Ricky and Ethan Page are going to join forces, but at some point, they're going to have to fight each other. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Ethan Page and Ricky Saints go at it. So, with that in mind, I'm actually looking forward to this Fatal 4-Way match now that I think about it.
I absolutely am too. I'm going to hold my prediction for when we do predictions, but I have a feeling I know who might win this with everything that's been leading up.
Interesting. But yeah, man, how much time do we got left for Stand and Deliver? It's not this weekend, but the weekend after, right?
It is April 4th, which is next Saturday.
Okay, so we have one more episode of NXT, the go home show, and then we'll do predictions and then stand and deliver. It's going to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to stand and deliver, man. It's going to be a dope show. But until then, we will see you guys again soon. We'll be back probably tomorrow for one-on-one with Blood. And of course, Friday Night SmackDown. But yeah, let's get out of here, Tommy.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our review of NXT. So you've got Monday, you've got Wednesdays, you've got Thursdays, and you've got Fridays. For Monday Night Raw, NXT, Friday Night SmackDown, and then Thursday is that one-on-one with our glorious leader Snug, along with Mr. Blood on TikTok Live, where they go through relevant and current wrestling topics, along with your fan questions as well. Also, go get your merch. That will be at tpublic.com/snug_wrestling. That is TEE public.com/snug_wrestling. That link will also be in the bio of every single one of our episodes as well. So, I will see y'all on Friday. That was one time for the one time. 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet.